During the wilderness years of the 1990s, there was precious little Doctor Who to get a hold of, at least on television. Because despite the TV show having unofficially been cancelled in 1989, the show was still very popular and there was actually an increase in merchandising in this time. And in terms of action figures, there were really only two toy companies on the market. That was Dapol with their 3 3/4 inch figures, and there was Product Enterprise. Now, Product Enterprise specialised in high-end collectibles, and they produced highly detailed, electronic 9-inch action figures. They produced a whole range of Daleks, which were remote control, and interestingly, they even acquired the license for the Doctor Who movie Daleks. They even managed to produce a remote control Davros and a Tom Baker figure in this absolutely fantastic packaging. And amongst all this, they even managed to produce a series of Cyberman figures. They made 3 in total. They were all based on the classic Earthshock design, and they produced a Cyberman, a Cyberleader, and a Stealth Cyberman. But today I'm going to take a look at the Cyberleader. The first thing I've got to point out is the absolutely gorgeous packaging. I think this is some of the best packaging I've ever seen on any Doctor Who product. It's really magical. There's no plastic cellophane or anything to stop you actually touching the figure in his box, so you are encouraged to test the electronic button on his chest to hear him speak, which is fantastic. But overall, I'm just really impressed with the artwork, because they could have opted for something that was, say, a photo from the TV show, but instead they've opted to actually evoke the spirit of the Cybermen, because we never saw anything this exciting on screen. The budget just wouldn't allow it. But here we have a fully realised alien world with legions of Cybermen on the attack, and it just looks glorious, and it feels to me like this is really authentic in terms of the spirit of the show and of the villains, and I just think it's really, really fun and fantastic to put on display. And on the reverse of the packaging here, we have a little bit of information about the Cybermen, and we can see some of the other Doctor Who products in the line, most notably Daleks. And here he is out of his packaging, and he looks just as good out of it as he did within. You can see there's an absolute ton of detail and effort and love and attention that's gone into this figure. And I think one of the most striking things is that you'll notice there is a use of chrome. Now, this chrome paint was applied quite a lot in the 90s, and toy manufacturers these days often tell us that it was a really bad mistake because it would flake off and of course damage the toys, and in the long run it wasn't very good for collectors. However, I have to say, this is an example where, all these years later, there's not a single flake in place. Like, it looks gorgeous. It looks as perfect now as it did the day it was produced. And it's absolutely wonderful. It's such a fantastic effect. When the light shines on it, it's really, really bright and shiny, and it looks really effective. As I said, this mould is really impressive with the amount of detail and effort that's gone into it. There's not a piece of this figure where there isn't something interesting going on, whether it's the piping, the tread on his boots, the grooves in his gloves, or the piping and tubes going in and around his torso. And it's really nice to see there's more than one paint application here. It would have been tempting to just do it in the one silver or grey, but there's actually, they've put a sort of a black wash over it as well, so it's got that discoloured, slightly worn, slightly lived in look, which is absolutely fantastic and makes it feel really authentic and real. The sculpt of the head is really interesting because I think it's absolutely pitch perfect, and I think it's such a wonderful, fantastic, screen accurate sculpt, but I'm not quite sure which version of the Cyberman this is meant to be. I think it's meant to be the Cyberleader from Earthshock, as we can see here. The shape and design looks to be pretty spot on here. But if we look at the Cyberleader from Silver Nemesis, he definitely has the chrome look. And the design is very, very similar anyway, but the chest piece is obviously very different, as well as the mouthpiece. So I personally tend to think of him as an off-screen variant of the Cyberleader that we don't actually ever quite see, but he shows up somewhere between Attack of the Cybermen and Silver Nemesis. Now then, surprisingly for the time, he does have a few points of articulation as well. Sadly, there is nothing in the head. He doesn't spin his head or swivel it in any way, but he does have a ball joint in the shoulder, which allows the arm to go up and out to the side a fair distance. And he also has a double jointed elbow, and a swivel at the wrist there as well, which does swivel around 360 degrees. And again, the same at the waist as well, there's another swivel there. And that's it, I'm afraid there is no more articulation, there's certainly nothing below the waist. Mercifully, in the very back of the figure, we can see there are some holes to allow the sound effects to escape from. This is much better than, say, being in the front in the chest area. And the sounds are really awesome. And as if that wasn't enough, he also comes with a couple of accessories as well. He has his Earthshock blaster rifle, and he comes with a Cybermat. This one is really unexpected, because we haven't seen the Cybermat since Revenge of the Cybermen in the classic TV show, and actually this one is modelled on the Tomb of the Cybermen Cybermats. And although it's not 100% accurate, it doesn't have the antenna and it does seem to have this like Mohican thing going on, I think you can tell this was the design they were striving for. And again, it feels like an off-screen version of the Cyberman that we never got to see in the actual TV show. And once more, I'm just super impressed with the moulding, the paint taps, and just the fantastic detailing that we see on the blaster here. Because you can see there's lots of different colours. There's a paint wash going through it. It looks dirty. It looks used. We can see the red. But also the strap actually clips into place. This is just a fantastic little extra touch, which is just really, really well done. So in conclusion, in all honesty, I don't have enough good things to say about this release. I think it's an absolutely fantastic figure, really surprising on multiple levels, but I think the level of attention to detail and the love that's gone into this figure is really very apparent. It probably helps that the Earthshock Cyberman is one of my favourite designs, so I love the way this looks, and I love how incredibly screen accurate it is, and just like I said, the attention to detail, like all those individual bits and pieces that come together to make this figure what it is. If I was going to nitpick with the eyes of someone in 2021, I might criticise that there's not more articulation. I might particularly take issue with the legs, that there's nothing there at all, not even a swivel in the boots, but I think that would be unfair because this was made in a time when really high-end collectibles like this, where there's a lot of detailing, they didn't really have much in the way of articulation. So I'm just pleased that we have anything at all, and I think what we've got in the arms is actually pretty good. I love that we get these accessories as well. I think they're really, really well done, and in the case of the Cybermat, a complete surprise. And then you throw in the electronic sound effects, which just make me smile from ear to ear. So I absolutely love this figure. I think, if you're a Doctor Who fan and you love the Cybermen, particularly this design, then it's a must-have. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a like, and remember to subscribe, as I'll be posting a lot more videos soon.